Anyone familiar with Senran Kagura knows of the franchise's characters, fan service, and character arcs. Depending on the game, some characters get more attention than others, learning from their arcs to various degrees. In their respective stories, Hanzo's elite Hibari and Hebijo's elite later Crimson Squad Haruka have arcs where the other is key. A story of a good and evil shinobi learning from each other for the better. A story of a girl who learns to value herself, gain strength in herself, and understand evil, as well as a story of a controlling girl who learns communication is better than manipulating others. And the Hanzo story. Hibari and Haruka fight at the beginning. Hibari loses the fight, hurting her confidence, using all her strength against a doll, not the real Haruka. Hibari feels weak and useless in comparison to her friends who try to cheer her up out of her funk. On her free time, she's attacked by a weak fodder shinobi, but is saved by Yagyu, her friend and fellow elite. Hibari is upset, thinking that her friends think she's weak and needs protecting. Hibari, while alone, sees a plant leading her to the Hebijo training ground, believing she's found their base only to fall for an obvious trap. Fending off many evil shinobi, she's saved by Yagyu again, who takes a poison bullet for her. In the silence of the emergency room, all her guilt for going off alone, yelling at Yagyu, almost getting her killed, pushes Hibari to make up for her actions. Stealing the super secret ninja scroll, she's fooled into bringing it to Haruka and her puppet Kiria. Deemed unworthy to see its secrets, she fights out the scroll's power and loses again. Finally giving up, she leaves her fate to Haruka and joins Hebijo, learning that evil shinobi aren't so different from good shinobi, doubting what she's been taught. Looking for the scroll, Haruka catches her and challenges her, and Hibari is beaten. Haruka sends Hibari off to train. While training, Homura observes Hibari's skills, acknowledging she's more skillful than she appears. Yagyu and Asuka find out about Hibari and go to save her without worrying about getting the scroll back immediately. When they're back at Hanzo, the Hanzo girls prepare for the rematches against the Hebijo girls. Hibari ends up fighting Haruka again, but this time she wins, proving she's gotten stronger. Although Hibari does worry that she's hurt Haruka because she's learned to care for her, Hebijo's story is a bit different and focuses on the evil shinobi girls. Haruka faces Hibari, easily winning. This time she's not using a puppet, she verbally threatens Hibari, and this is very significant, asking Hibari to join her and Hebijo. The next time we see Hibari, she's bringing the super secret shinobi scroll to Haruka, asking to join Hebijo, but she seems different somehow, more resolved and confident, much different from how she was prior. Blending in well with Haruka, they become very close to each other, worrying Homura. The group splits as Haruka and Yomi have discovered friendship with good shinobi, while the others, more or less minus Hikage, are against the idea of it. We learn that in Haruka's past, she was dressed up like a doll by her mother, so she wanted to burn down her house, but Rin showed up and taught her manipulation, which put her down the path of trying to control others. Due to becoming close friends with Hibari, Haruka has come to learn that it's much better to try to talk and resolve things with her friends rather than try to control them, try to get them to understand her, teaching Homura the value of friendship as well as not denying that power is also a factor in a shinobi's life. Meanwhile, the new Hibari and Mirai are fighting each other. Mirai ends up beating Hibari, but surprisingly, Hibari is not phased. Hibari seems a little bit crazy right now. She has aura coming off of her, and she seems very out of character, scaring Mirai, and that is until Yagyu shows up to knock her out, revealing she has been controlled, warning the Hebijo girls that they'll pay for what they did to Hibari, and they'll understand what to prepare for. later. The upcoming battle against the Hanzo girls to reclaim their school, Hibari and Haruka are faced against each other again, and what's important is this fight reveals Hibari very much likes Haruka for treating her seriously, threatening her where everyone else feeling like she's being treated seriously for once in her shinobi career. And even though she was under control, deep down she wanted to join Hebijo because of Haruka. After losing the fight to Haruka, Haruka decides to cut her feelings and ties for Hibari, so Hibari doesn't feel like she needs to stay in Hebijo and go where Haruka knows she belongs, in Hanzo, setting Hibari free. In conclusion, this was my favorite story and character arc on both sides in the first Senran Kagura game. I'm not gonna say it's my favorite plot line or even arc in Senran Kagura series as a whole, but it is in this game. My favorite personally is Shinobi vs. Ryobi and Ryona's storyline and the new Hebijo story. One thing that made this story stand out to me is that we had Hibari, the weakest member of the group, go through so much trying to fix her mistakes, not realizing that her friends didn't look at her as she originally thought and kept making mistakes, eventually joining the other side out of desperation, not feeling she could go back. I liked how this felt natural for her character and situation and how she overcame it at the very end. On the other hand, I will say I did like to see a confident, resolved Hibari even if she was being manipulated. Although one thing I don't like about the Hebijo's version of the storyline is the simple fact that it came off very abruptly, the fight happening in one moment and then the next time we really see the character, they're completely different. Felt like they didn't give enough focus to Hibari in the storyline, although it's understandable. This is the Hebijo story and thus they're focusing on the Hebijo characters. Although I did very much like the beginning of the confrontation in this better because it shows that there is someone who was willing to at least pretend to fight Hibari seriously and make her feel like she was a real shinobi. That's all I got for you guys. Discuss how you feel about this storyline, if you've seen this, or what storylines did you like over this one. I'll see you on the next video.